Watch and learn as we assemble our design for a versatile, durable aluminum roof rack, and we'll top it off with a whopping 720 watts of solar. Timestamps for the various processes are posted below. We ordered our parts from McMaster Carr. Some parts, like these, had to be fabricated.
Here you can see the stack up from the plastic spacer that's going to go against the roof of the van to the L bracket, which spaces the T-slot frame off the roof. Because it's curved, it has to be up higher than where the brackets are. And there will be 2 bolts that run from this bracket into the rail, and the rail profile we will show you in a bit. Each of the plastic blocks has a 5-degree slope cut into the top surface, and when the bracket sits on that slope, it makes the van roof, which is a 5-degree angle, turn into a nice flat surface for the rest of the roof rack to span without being twisted. And then that 5-degree angle was also put into the countersink, where these screws go through and sit nice and flush. And you can see it's not perfectly straight, it has that angle and matches up right there. Each one of these brackets started out as a longer section of aluminum L channel, so it was cut on a chop saw to length, and holes were put in both for mounting through the foot into the roof of the van and for going sideways into the rack, which will sit like that. All of these pieces started out as one plastic sheet that was 1 foot by 1 foot. The thickness was chosen just to make the bolt stick into the roof the correct amount. So with the bolt in and the bracket on, the distance that it sticks out has to be a certain value, which Ford, the manufacturer of that van, specifies has to be, in a certain range so that it doesn't stick through the roof, but also so that it has enough threads in the roof to be strung. So that's what determined the thickness here. And after that sheet was purchased, it was, in this case, routed out on a CNC router, which is why this angled surface has steps in it. It's where the tool went by. But this could just as easily be done on a table saw with the blade set inclined to whatever angle was needed. And in fact, in the research that I did to come up with that angle, that's exactly how people do it most of the time when they don't have access to a CNC router.
Now, Zach has experience with 80/20, but I don't. So he's going to explain to us how he's attaching these pieces together.
First, we'll assemble this straight surface bracket. The highlighted items on this list are the pieces involved. First, there's the 6-foot long silver T-slot rail, which you can see 2 of in the background. And there's also the surface bracket, which is 6 inches long for these profiles, which is the second highlighted item you can see in the foreground. Here we have the hardware for these surface brackets. In this case, we're using 1.5 inch wide 80/20, which uses 5/16 diameter screws. There are really 2 main sizes of hex key or Allen key you'll need for this hardware. In this case, because the head is this rounded type with a flange, it's a 3/16, which fits. There are many ways you can choose to put the hardware and the brackets on the profiles. Two different ways I'll show here are, first you can assemble the screw and the nut, the T-nut, lightly together and slide the bracket into the rail. So in this case, I'm going to make sure that they're kind of straight, and I will slide them into the rail, into the T-slot, that hence their name. The other way to do it is you can take these nuts and slide them in first and try to match that up afterwards. But that can be kind of difficult because then you have to make sure that the holes are spaced out just right and then put the screws through.
So you prefer doing it first and then sliding it in?
If you can. If you
Okay.
can pre-assemble the hardware, but you have to keep in mind that these nuts have to go in from the end of the rail. They cannot go in along the length of the rail. They can't be rotated in. There are certain kinds that you can buy that can be rotated in to the profile anywhere along it, but those are more expensive. And the ones that come with the bracket, at least when you buy from this supplier, always come with the simpler, cheaper hardware that has to go in from the end. So you have to plan and at least leave one end open to slide in all of the hardware you'll need for all the brackets.
Okay. It doesn't look like it takes a lot of rotation to tighten them up.
Nope, there's
Now, are
not
you
very
doing
much.
kind of like slightly, are you snugging it up or are you really tightening them?
In the beginning, I'm just snugging it up
Okay.
because then I'm trying to check if they're actually straight.
Yeah.
If they're fully butted up, which those are not, so I'm gonna loosen
Okay.
them back.
And do you want me to hold this end? Or
That's
Got
good
it.
there.
I can put my foot
Snug
on it.
back. No, that's fine. Yeah, and then now it's ready for tightening them to an almost permanent torque, but we're not going to leave them like this. When you receive the brackets from this vendor, like MasterCar, they all come with the hardware you need. At least the ones that say they do on the website will show you includes hardware. And in that case, you receive a bag with the bracket and the screws and nuts that you'll need to put them together. Here I've got one of the straight brackets with its screw and nut just loosely assembled, and I've got a scrap piece of 80/20 from a different project. You can see this one's actually double wide profile compared to the ones that we're using on the roof, but just pretend it's a single one. I'm gonna slide the bracket into the end, and I'll keep the nut right on the end so you can see what's going on. There's a small gap between the little raised edge where the nut sits and the bracket. As I lightly tighten the bracket, I'll hit a point where I can no longer do it with the short end of the wrench. As I switch to the long end and keep tightening, the bracket compresses and closes that gap. It's designed like this so that it's more resistant to vibration and so that you can consistently tighten it for a pretty secure hold. That being said, that's not the only thing we're doing. Because the van is going to be driving around on the road and vibrating and going off-road in some cases,
A lot of cases.
necessary to put a thread locker on the bolt to make sure that it cannot rotate out due to vibration. So we're using a medium strength thread locker, which in most cases, from whatever brand you choose, is going to be the blue one, and we'll apply that to the threads before we assemble each connection of the rails for the final time.
Randy's working on his own. We're learning.
I'm doing what Zach did earlier, under adult supervision, because that's what I have to have. Yeah, because it can strip the...
I will not let these get cammed. Do stuff and just make sure everything's good. Because if there was like, okay, put it this way, it wouldn't be worth doing that if there was like some mad wind.
Using Zachary's design, we're coming through and assembling the hardware that goes along with it. And frankly, I just started sitting on the couch over there and pre-assembling some of these, putting them back in the bag that they came in, and then we'll distribute them to where they're supposed to go. Now, as I tighten these, I'm just barely tightening it up, leaving a gap. So as Zach was instructing me, just tighten it enough to where you start to feel that screw come through the tab. You can configure your roof rack to any length that you want. This extruded aluminum cuts like wood on a miter saw. Just be sure to wear your protective equipment. If you're learning something like I am, please hit the like button below. Questions? Let us know in the comment section below or email us. That information is posted in the description.
Okay, give it a fling. Oh, almost.
Did I go all the way?
It's okay. Right here. All right, next one.
Okay.
So here we have a bracket that has 2 screws through it, and we've already inserted the T-slot nuts from the end of the rail all the way up to here, and this is approximately where this bracket's going to sit. You can try to line both of them up at the same time, but that can be difficult and frustrating, so what you can do instead is move one away, take one of the screws out, and you'll use that open hole to align it after the first one goes in. For the first one, you can place it in line and you'll feel that it's kind of sitting on the nut. And lightly start that one. Now it's there and I can slide this. Then I can look at the other nut and bring this up to it. I know my head's in the way. And look through and I see they're lined up. I can confirm that with the hex key. I'm moving the nut back and forth. And then I can take the screw, put it through, and get that one loosely on there too. And then you can position the bracket wherever it needs to be along the rail and lock it up when it's in place. Give her a fling. All right. Oh, yep, that got me. All right, that was good. All right, next one.
See, practice.
Cool.
Man is putting the tabs on top of the van. Let us know if you are interested in purchasing roof adapter brackets and the 5-degree lifts. If we get enough interest, then Zachary might go ahead and fabricate a bunch of those that we can sell to you. Okay, they're working on getting the first bracket lined up with the 80-20.
that here.
Puppy.
It just means that the thing was out of center. So that's the key, is we have to do that shaking.
Okay, there's the other side. So now Zach is putting in the third cross piece. 3 out of 5. Zach, what are you doing?
Getting the panels up, putting holes in them.
And so you determined where the holes go by those little bitty brackets that you have up there?
Exactly.
Okay. That bracket up there. Okay, we have 2 of these big boy panels. What are these? Are they 360 watts each?
Yep.
For 720 watts of solar panels. Let's get way in there close. If it'll focus. So Zach is using his caliper,
These
a
are just
digital caliper.
Yeah, I don't know, Amazon special.
Put the holes. Oh, and what is that called? What's that called?
Punch.
A punch?
So
The wood's too
gotta have a
thick.
backing material, because on these, since we're going, instead of parallel to the panel, since we're going into it from the bottom, want to hit the wood. Nah.
Not the actual solar panel.
This
look.
is the Y connection that will put both the panels in parallel. So these are 2 fuses. One goes to each of the panel's outputs. So go to the other one. And then this goes to each of them. So the other panel would connect here. And then that goes to the van. Bolt stack ups being the bolt, the washer, and the nut that are going to go into each hole that we drill.
Okay.
And all of this is stainless hardware because they didn't have coatings that would work well in salty air other than stainless.
Mama can help me.
First solar panel going up.
Alright, sit down. Okay, I got it now.
Pivot.
These are really large panels, so they're a little awkward.
Come on.
One down, one to go, and we're running out of daylight.
Leave it angled.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, as you can see, these are really large panels.
Okay, set it down.
Thought we were going to need more people, but they're doing it.
Yeah, I don't know how close this is going to be, but it'll probably be really close.
Oh.
Okay, so he's adjusting the brackets. That's one good thing about 80/20. You can just slide it forward a little bit to tweak it.
Over the top?
Yeah, do that.
That's good?
Yep. Okay, I'm lined up here with your hull, by the way. Here. Well, almost.
Thanks for joining us. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons below. And hit the bell if you're interested in being notified every time we upload a new video.